To complete Battle Network 4, there are 7 requirements. Some are the same as other entries. Getting all the standard chips, mega chips, and giga chips, along with beating the final boss and using all programming advances. In this game you also have to get all 6 Navi Souls, find base, and defeat them. But there's one other section that doesn't need to be fulfilled, but it's there if you want to. And I am here to explain why I have given up on completing the secret list. The easy part of the secret list is getting the Navi chips from the other version of Battle Network 4. I guess I haven't completed those either, but they are not the focus of this video. I mentioned Navi Souls. There are 6 in each game you get from beating these Navis in the tournaments throughout the story. Once you acquire 1 or more Navis, you can send them to another copy via link cable, and that Navi along with the current HP you had at the time, some programs like Undershot or Barrier if installed, and chips you own will be present in Free Battle Tournament at Higsby's. If that Navi reaches the finals and you beat them, you will get a secret chip only attainable from the free tournament. I was amazed when I found out about this feature. It really added more to the experience of Battle Network 4. The chips are also decent in battle, and many have an asterisk code, so you can put them in any folder build. So I got all 12 souls from each game, traded them over, and have been winning these tourneys for years now. Sounds like I should have all the chips. So why do I want to give up on this? Well, I left out a couple details. First, I will explain the tournament. It is an 8 contestant tournament. You have to be in it so you can only trade up to 7 Navis. That's an entire game's exclusives plus 1, but you don't need to fill all 7 slots. You need more than 1 though. I had 1 Navi traded over, and they always ended up in the same starting brackets, so I never saw them in the finals. The remaining entries are filled with normal Navis and heal Navis. So how many do you need minimum? I didn't bother adding 1 at a time until there was 7, but 2 will change the matchups enough for 1 to be at the end. You can also skip the battles you're not in. The winner is then chosen at random, so even if 1 Navi is dominating the other, the underdog could be moving up ahead. It also helps if you want the Navi that is losing to proceed in the tournament. If you lose, you're asked if you want to keep watching, but you won't get anything. Does the winner of the tourney make you more likely to face them in the next tournament? I have no idea how any of this is chosen or coded. It is also safe to use dark chips in the tournament, as it won't deplete your HP permanently, or even throughout the tournament. So you won the tourney, and you're awarded a chip. Feels great the first time. Unlocking something hidden in the game. Now you need to face all the Navis in the finals to get each chip. There are a total of 12 chips you need, 6 from each version. And you want them on both of your copies. So you need to do it twice for duplicate chips. Well, sounds time consuming, but as long as you're willing to do it, it will happen, right? Well, now I will explain what can go wrong. The Navi you want to face doesn't end up in the finals, or you lose the tournament. So just refresh the roster and don't lose. Simple, right? No. There's more. Quite a bit more. There aren't 12 chips to get from this, but 116. Each Navi has 3 levels of their chip. Those 3 different chips have 3 codes, so 9 for all 12 Navis makes 108. But 8 of the chips have a 4th code as an asterisk, adding up to 116 codes you want to get for both of your copies. So facing the same Navi in the finals is not a problem, as you need more than 1 code from them. But 2 codes are far more common than that 3rd or 4th code, so getting the same code over and over becomes a waste. And I wonder but can't confirm that doing well or poorly in the tournament is what determines the code. But that's just the code of the chip. What about the level? Well, here we get into the meat of things. You should know by now that the game has a New Game Plus feature. Before you beat the game, the Navis you send over will give the number 1 of their corresponding chip. Beat the game once more, and they will now hand out the number 2. Once more from here on out, they will give the number 3. But you can beat the game again. My furthest is on Game 4, ready to start Game 5. But they will still only give the 3rd installment of their chips, and no longer version 1 or 2. Getting all 6 souls can take 3 playthroughs. Some Navis you will meet in New Game Plus and not be able to get versions 1 or 2 of their chips. So you have to reset your game and hope that you get a different encounter order. It can go either way, but once you get the version 1 Navi, beat the game, resend that Navi, and you get the version 2 chip from the same Navi. So if I'm explaining this clearly, version 3 chips are the easiest to get. By the time you get the 6 souls, the Navis you send to another game will be version 3 chips. Version 1 and 2 are a mess. It is possible to get 5 Navis on the first new game, so your second playthrough. So that's 5 Navis, or 10 from both games, that'll give version 2. Reset the game save and hope for different encounters in the tournament. But then you lose everything. So I needed more copies of the game. I would recommend doing this with a minimum of 2 copies of each version playing simultaneously. So I've established that getting version 3 is just a matter of beating the game twice, then hoping for the navis to be in the finals, and getting all 3 to 4 codes from that navi. Rinse and repeat 11 times. For version 2 chips, you should be using second copies of the game and hope that you get different encounters than your main copy. If on your main game you get and send one set of navis over and get the version 2 chips before entering game 3, while getting the other set of navis on your second copy, you will be golden for version 2 of the chips. Again, you are doing this formula for both Red Sun and Blue Moon. So how hard is it to get the version 1 chips? You would think it's the same concept as getting the version 2 chips. If on one file you encounter 3 navis, and on the second you encounter the other 3. Send them over before you beat the game, and that's it, right? No, that would be too simple. In fact, I have to correct the version 1 and 2 chips a bit. See, you don't get the next versions once you beat the final boss and start the next game. It's when you beat the finals of the 3rd tournament. So what happened to me on Red Sun is this. I had 2 navis already I encountered and could send them over to get their version 1 chips. In the 3rd tournament, I encountered the sold navi in the finals. So when I beat the tournament and sent it over, it would deliver the version 2 chips, not the first. Is it too late for me to explain that there are 3 tournaments throughout the story, and 2 navis in each tournament, but you only have the chance of encountering 1 through each playthrough to get their soul? It's kind of important. This can also happen with Game 2 in the finals. They will give away the 3rd version chips. So you need to encounter the soul navi before the finals in the last tournament. But there's a hurdle for version 1 chips that version 2 chips don't have. You see, some are actually impossible to see in Game 1. Now I can explain why I am giving up. Having 4 or more copies of this game doesn't matter. It doesn't help my odds, as some navis are locked in specific parts of the story. In the first tournament on Red Sun, you encounter Gutsman in Game 1 each time, never Fireman, because Gutsman is the tutorial for the soul mechanic. In Blue Moon, it's Aquaman, and never Numberman. At the end of the second tournament, you enter a story segment where Laserman shows up and presents your Dark Soul. In Red Sun, Gutsman shows up to help you out, and in Blue Moon, it's Aquaman that shows up to help. It always plays out like this. It wouldn't make sense if you don't encounter them first, and got Fireman or Numberman in this segment. They could have made a second version of this cutscene if that were the case, and another version of the Soul tutorial. That way I can get version 1 codes, but no, it is impossible to legitimately get Fireman and Numberman version 1 chips. It makes the encounters in the 3rd tournament sound tolerable. As for those 2 navis, you can get one of them before the finals. We'll just have to make a new game if you're unlucky. At least it's possible. I got desperate, so I did what I normally never think of doing. I looked it up. Fireman gives out the chips Meteors 1, Meteors 2, and Meteors 3. I searched online how to get Meteors 1 chip in Battle Network 4. I got one search that said, when you beat the game, you can go buy the chip at Higgspeed, which is wrong. That the number means how many meteors will shoot out, as in 1 for 1 meter is also wrong. I know this because I have the chip, but we'll explain later how I got it. They do more damage as they go up in version. Even if I didn't have it, I have Meteors 2 and 3 that shoot more than 2 to 3 times. A second search says you can get them in green mystery data in the Meteorite comp, the last area of the story, but didn't specify which area as there are 4. Well, I went to check it out for myself, then decided to just look up a guide that covers all mystery data in Battle Network 4. There are no green mystery data in the Meteor comps. There are blue data, but none give you Meteors 1 or any of the secret chips. I then looked up the counterpart, Numberball 1, and found a build suggestion for Red Sun. I checked Battle Network Wiki. It lists all the secret chips, but doesn't explain how to get any of them. I checked GameFAQs, found one guide that doesn't explain how to get any of the chips, just what they do. Maybe I should keep searching, but I never find what I'm looking for. So how did I get Meteors 1? Well, I have a green cartridge that contains 12 Battle Network games. These are apparently the Wii U Virtual Console games, which I own on Wii U anyway, except for 4.5, which we never got. And on those versions, because you can't trade on Wii U, at certain points in the story, or through code on the store page, you can unlock all version exclusives and traded content. With this, I can play Battle Network 3 and use the Punk Battle Chip against other GBA copies. On Battle Network 4, this cartridge gives you all the tourney chips, and I traded them over to my Blue Moon, but still wanted to get them legitimately on my Red Sun. Because I had all the chips on Blue Moon, I think it had an effect on the tourney price. as a few times I defeated Junkman version 2 and got the version 1 chip as a prize. I only got this to work on Blue Moon, so I guess having some of the version 1 chips lets you win them on later versions of the Navi. I'm not really sure how this happened. I have been on and off of this for a few years. Maybe there are people out there saying, "What an idiot! This is how you get them. I did it as a kid." Or it's so simple, that's why searching for it is unnecessary. Either way, I can still reset some files and get version 1 chips through luck, but Fireman and Numberman seem to be locked out. I can only start a game on the collection for Red Sun and trade over all of those chips, if I learn it's actually impossible. Until then, I need to keep moving forward on this, just like my quest to get 99 copies of every chip code in Battle Network 3. I'll talk about that some other time.